I would have not been able to clear the exam if Amir Ali would have not been there. I would have not been.
I did not believe that I will be able to clear my PMP within a month.
I don't know what to say actually. Like I'm kind of like really
And I
trembling.
got my results and I was above target in all three categories.
Wow. Today is an important day for me because today I have one of my hero here with me, Antonio, champion of project management, think one of the member of Thinker 50, member of Marshall Goldsmith, another hero of mine. He's a member of 100 Coaches. He has written several books with his recent book in HBR. Recently, he wrote an article about AI, and what a fascinating article it is. Let me tell you, I have read that article minimum 3 times and trying to understand, okay, how deep we can go through it. And his book, The Project Revolution, I have read it 2 times and now it is on my table. Whenever I get time, I try to read it. The concept, project canvas, and all other things he has put it. He really had made the entire project management very simple for every single person. The project economy that now PMI is talking, he is a founder for that. I still remember when the COVID hits, Antonio started a webinar session with all the project leaders, and he started that entire revolution, how the project economy can move. And that things has revolutionized. Like it has changed the dilemma that okay, projects are not important, only operations are important, to now CEOs are talking about how projects, program, and portfolio can help them to grow. He has enhanced many programs, projects, and I would highly recommend that you read all his books. He is basically originally from Madrid, Spain, educated from Germany, Mexico, Italy, and United States. He can speak 5 languages. So, Antonio, I guess you have been everywhere in the world. Thank you very much. So,
Thank you.
Anton, the most important thing, the reason for which we are here, AI and the project management. First of all, since you have been long in this project management field and you have helped in developing it, and you have served in PMI and still working as a fellow, so what would you say, what is project management in summary?
Thank you first for the invitation, Amer, and always a pleasure to talk with you and people in your region. I think it was things that are happening in the UAE, in the whole MENA region. I'm always impressed. You are role models of how projects should be um, looked at, and inspiration for many others. So it's always a pleasure to be back and do a discussion around very important topics. I also appreciate very much the eagerness to learn from you and from your community and the people in the region. You're always looking for new certification, new ideas, and so when you told me to join, I didn't hesitate. So yeah, I think when you ask me what is project management, I think project management is everything. Um, Today, with the increased automation of operations, there is just one thing, and it's projects. And that's where we will end up working, not just the project managers, because we are used to that, but this might be 5%, 10% of the global workforce. What I think is we'll see 60, 70%, 80% of our workforce working in projects. So I think project management is going to become like operations in the past. It's just going to be the most essential part to do business and do any type of activity. So I'm very, very excited because we're seeing that now. It's happening as we speak. So yes, I've been waiting for this time, maybe 15 years, Amir, and this is now happening, and I'm so glad we can all experience it.
We can all experience it now. when for last 15 years now you have taken project management from nothing to extremely important thing, and $1 trillion economy we are talking about that. And of course in this entire media region, and with the projects that is going to happen in Saudi Arabia in next 10 years, it is going to change the dynamics. But now the AI has changed the entire domain. AI is updating each and everything in that. So let's first talk about how do you think that AI is going to revolutionize the project management.
Well, my views are extreme in this sense. I think, I wish, also, I hope that AI will change 80% of the profession. 80%, not 8, not 15, not 25, 80%. So that means 4 out of 5 days in your workday will be different. And very much majority of the community is scared about these figures. Is very scared. How can you change my job so radically? And I think this is one of the reasons why project management uh, or project PMI and other institutions, the community has never really had a big, deep discussion around disruption and AI. And because people are scared, like in any other industries. The good news, Amer, I think that first, we are going to keep having projects. So it's not like AI will be used to cut jobs that might happen in finance, might happen in logistics, might happen in operations. The good news for us is in our profession, AI will be just changing and in helping us to do projects better. It's going to be still very challenging to deliver a project, but now we will be assisted. We'll have like a GPS. When the people ask me, how do you see project management in the evolution using technology, what I say always is first, remember when you were driving cars maybe 20 years ago, there was just a paper roadmap with maps, and there was no Google Maps, there was no GPS. And then the cars evolved to introduce the GPS where you would say, I'm here, I'm going there, give me 3 roads, and then you choose. And now in the future, we'll see self-driving car. Project management is today still with the paper maps. So we are very old-fashioned. We don't have GPS in projects, which is crazy, right? We should be able to say here and there, this is what you need to do, be successful in your projects. That doesn't happen today. So I think there's a lot of disruption, 80%, which is a lot, but see it from a positive way. There will be projects, there will be need for modern project managers, and it's going to be a very useful support to deliver more value, more benefits, more return on investment faster.
Yeah, I really like it that we can get more return on investment faster. Now, but one question that keeps on coming with this chat GPT, and now the chat GPT has gone to the fore. One question that keep on coming is that still all that data that we are going to give through machine learning, through AI, it is based on human. So human biasing has a very big role to play in that. So what do you think as moving forward, how we can address this human biasing that goes into chat, that goes into AI, and how that can be evaluated, on that how that can be improved? Because as it says that input and then its output, the input is still the same, which is broken, which can be biased, which can be different. So how we can work into that way?
Yeah, it's a great question. It has been maybe the biggest challenge in AI when we talk about projects, the availability of data. And that was maybe also an excuse saying, well, in project management, it's really hard to have data. That's why it will never happen, right? As opposed to operations where you just go to ERP system and you find everything. So it's true that this is a big challenge. And it was one reasons why we didn't progress that much. Um, but the good news, and I wanted to experience, so I said I want to learn what's going on. So I partnered with a professor in Canada Paul Bordeaux, one of the leading or the pioneers in developing machine learning algorithms in the world of projects. And I've started to work on that. We've have collected data sets for 50 big projects. It's 95 different criteria, and we're building a machine learning algorithm to go to companies and say, this is the prioritization of your projects. And what I learned is that getting the data is challenging, but machine learning has evolved, and today they have some systems that they will auto generate data. So they will see there's a gap in that page, so they will simulate the data based on the input from other data. So very soon we'll find out that data is important, but the data is not anymore a blocker, because these things will be able to learn and to replicate and to fill in the gaps. So I hope that we will not have that issue for many, many years. I think it's a question of a year or two that data will not be like the biggest blocker, and we will use artificial intelligence to, while we use it, the machine will still learning, so we'll get better and better and better. So I agree with the comment. It's not easy. Data is a gap, but it should not block us to move forward and get prototypes and start working on that.
Yeah, we have to get a MVP and see how things work and then improve in that way. Now, this question has been asked by more than 4 or 5% in a different way.
Really.
What are the most challenging way implementing AI in the giga or mega projects?
The most challenging part, Amer, is uh, it's the culture, it's the mindset, it's being afraid of what we talk a bit, losing the job, making mistakes, not seen as something that will make you better to do your job. I think that's the biggest challenge. And that's why I think this is a very good call that you're organizing here, Amer. And the article for Harvard Business Review that I wrote with Ricardo Vargas, who I know was in your program as well, a good friend, my partner in this space, has become one of the most popular articles in HBR history because of it's so relevant. And we highlighted 6 areas that will be disrupted. So I think the biggest challenge is it's it's having that, it's being a bit entrepreneur. It's saying, okay, I don't know this, but I want to try it. Maybe I don't try it for the whole project, but I will try it for a piece of the project. And I'm happy. I know nowadays already a few startups that work in this space. So I'm happy to share some names or put people into contact, because I think that's what we need to make it now a success. Is people need to start trying. And I know in UAE, in MENA region, you have amazing projects. So don't be afraid to suggest to your leaders, say, listen, I heard this talk, I've read the article, can we try this? And there is startups working on the prioritization. I'm working on that. There's startups working on big data for developing WBSs and project plans in a question of 5 minutes instead of 5 weeks. There are startups working on the risk management pieces with AI. There are startups working on the bots, the support. If you need to have a PSO or a PMO automated, there are there in the reporting as well. So I think it's a question of saying, for my project, maybe some automation on the reporting or the PSO or in the prioritization or the planning, and just reach out to me, or I'm happy to share names, put in contact, and try it. And I think this has to be driven by people like you and everybody listening to this program. You can drive it. You will become more credible. You will become I think instead of somebody that delivers a project, you will be seen as somebody that introduces innovation and artificial intelligence to deliver better, more faster results. So I think that's the key one, Amer, from my point of view.
I totally agree with that, and as I said, I read the article 2 times and see how in France the the head of the state was managing all the projects using the data, which projects are ahead of schedule, behind schedule, and how those things can be done. We have multiple questions because my major audience is more of a practical project managers or studying project management. I have a lot of question how we are going to manage risk, how we are going to manage schedule, and how we are going to optimize those things. And I guess you just answered that thing. There are various people who are working on that domain, that you can easily get what is work breakdown structure. You will enter a few data and you get the entire thing to work into that thing, and that can be a huge power into that. Antonio, a very interesting question. Whenever a new innovation comes, and with the chat GPT and all other AI coming very fast, it's the same thing as it was when the wheel was there, when truck came, then vehicle came. Everyone said that what will happen to the jobs of the people who are dealing with the horses. Are you optimistic about the changes, the jobs that are going to happen in the next 10, 20, or 30 years? Or do you think that it needs to be tackled in a very advanced way? Because people in my sector, people in the entire Gulf, ethics is a very important thing. How ethically we can look into the AI, so that because we know about deep fakes, and now it's, I can say, you know very well how the not only deepfakes, video, voice, and those things can be generated in a minutes. So, what do
Yeah.
you think? How the AI can help us, and how we can look into the ethics side of AI?
I think this is a very advanced topic, Amer. I'm glad you bring it forward because while we introduce AI and new technology like this, you're generating new risks. Absolutely. It's not only positives and saving times and automation of reporting and risks and so on, but at the same time, we're generating new risk. And one of them is the deep fakes and the ethics. So I think we tend to be rather ethical people in the project management space. I'm sure all your listeners have strong values and strong ethics, and these are things that are shared and are replicated. And I'm very proud to say that I think I've come across very, very few cases, even when I was chairman of PMI, of wrongdoing. I don't know why, but we are a very ethical profession. There's always some bad apples, but it's very exceptional. But I think when AI comes into place, we are opening the space to, like you said, a technology that we're not fully in control. We better do our our risk management and our planning, rather than a machine doing that and who is behind the machine. So I think we will need to be extra careful and look further on the risk of these technologies. I think, and what I was thinking the other day is we might need to bring other roles in a project than we had done in the past, right? So we have usually very similar roles in all the projects. So what does it mean now with AI? And we probably need some cybersecurity person, somebody that knows how to protect your data in the cloud. How can you monitor that AI doesn't turn into something deep fake? So I think that's the way I was thinking the other day, where what does it mean in terms of project organization and structure and roles? And it will evolve toward that way. That's how we're going to mitigate those risks. And I just find it very fascinating because we like to learn. Project managers love to learn. So imagine you have in your teams people who know cybersecurity, who are able to work with ChatGPT, and you sit in your advantage. I think it's just so exciting, right? Is like maybe 10 years ago you started to have digital experts, and then sustainability now, and then just another step to add into our profiles and learn more and become better. So absolutely big risk, big red risk there that we need to take action, mitigate, but that should not block us. On the contrary, I think shows that we are aware of the risks and we are aware of how to tackle them and mitigate it. Great question, Amr.
Thank you very much. So, on building on that question, now, currently, the most of the time, the project manager is spending is understanding the schedule, scope, things like that. Are we ahead of schedule, using the critical path and things like that? What I learned from your article and with the conversation with Ricardo, Also had a conversation same with Ricardo few weeks back. Now with the AI coming back, everything will be automated, and we don't have to spend time on that. So, what do you think? What will be the role of project manager in the future? Now, that is a question. Always, always I am getting that. What will be the role of project manager? Because all the repetitive tasks AI is going to do, all
Yeah.
other things AI is going to look at that. So, what will be the real role of project manager?
I think is another great question, Amer, and it's good that we question this because there is, I suppose, what I was saying at the beginning, that project management doesn't has not been very critical or going deeper into AI for the last. This just started this year, last year. What I like about the profession is that we do think about how the role will evolve. In that sense, we are, yeah, always challenging ourselves and trying to improve. So I like that. And I think what I see is that project management has been and is being taught as well is as something very tactical. You need to have your plan, you need to manage your scope, you need to manage the changes to the plan. So, in the eyes of many stakeholders, senior leaders, we are a bit of a tactical group of people who can deliver a change or a new product or a new organization. And by automating some of this work, it will be a possibility for us to elevate ourselves to a more executive role. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to step out and say, okay, we have that piece, and that piece will be delivered, is automated. But what I care now is benefit delivery. We want to make sure that you get the value from this project. We want to make sure that we have alignment with the stakeholders, that there's buy-in when the project is delivered. So I think we are going to be able to move from a very much tactical role, delivery role, to an executive position. And it will not happen without training. It will not happen without coaching and mindset change. But I see project managers as executives in companies delivering value, delivering change, uh, bringing the companies to the next level. So it's super exciting, Amer. I think this is so, we've been waiting for this forever and never happened. And now is the opportunity to do that move in the next years to just say we are executives, we are the CEOs of our project. Remember, we always talk. I wrote an article many years ago. Project managers should be the CEO of their projects, but it never happened. We think the sponsor is the CEO, and I think now is the time to show we're the CEOs. I mean, we care about what happens and it's delivered here.
What happens and what deliver. And I really liked it that a project manager should be act like a temporary CEO and understand all the parameters, understanding the stakeholders. So for everyone who is listening, your job to manage the stakeholder and engage the stakeholder is going to improve, to work into that, how you engage with them. You just have more data, quick data to work into that. And regarding that data and prioritization, I have multiple questions. Now there are 4 to 5 topics that are keep on coming, and I will get 2 more questions from other people. How AI improve the process of project selection, prioritization, and you can also cover up how it can help risk analysis and decision model, because that is one of the
Well,
most important job in the organizations.
I think this is a great question. It's one of my favorite topics, and I think where when you look at project failure rates, 60-70%, one of the reasons I think is that project selection is not very well done. I wrote an article for HPR, which was most of the projects are launched when the idea is still too, it's not mature enough. So we do a lot of scoping while the project is still being defined, and that leads to bad estimates, bad projections. And so I think when you have a more mature project selection process where you say this is a idea, is not not ready to be a project, you can do a bit more prototyping or thinking or narrowing the scope and the options, and this brings a lot of value, and we don't do that enough. So I think the role of a PMO, portfolio management office, should be saying not whether this project has good business case, it's more, is this project ready to be defined, to be scoped, also to see, well, this project better to use a hybrid methodology, use predictive project management, but also apply some agile into it. So I think the role of the referee, which is about prioritization and selection, has been not very advanced nowadays. And I think the opportunity now is using AI with data and history and knowing. I think one thing that beyond AI is, Amer, and when people ask me in interviews is, what do you need to make a project successful? We all know what we need to make a project successful. That has been researched, that has been published. The question you need to ask me is, what's blocking you to deliver a project successful? We
Loved
know
it.
what 10 things need to happen. We know that. Why is not happening in your company? Are you missing the sponsorship? Are you missing a clear purpose? So I think while we can do a more advanced prioritization process and selection, introducing this type of analysis of, is the project idea ready to be a project? Do you have the fundamentals in place that I share in the project canvas? Do we have the capacity to deliver it? And based not just on the business case, but on the potential benefits. So this is really where I'm working, and I hope maybe in a few months I can share with you the machine learning algorithm to do some type of a simulation. But I think that's where the biggest benefits we can deliver for sure in terms of project management.
Thank you. Thank you for answering. I really loved it. How, and I will be looking forward if we can have that in few months, the example of that.
Yeah, that would be
Azan,
nice.
so he asked a very specific thing. He asked that, could you please give us an example of successful project implementing AI as best practice? Now that's kind of a very interesting question. So that's why I took it there.
Asan, hi. I put in the Harvard Business Review a couple of examples. One happened in the UK with a very large program, and they used some artificial intelligence for the testing. This was about trains and metros and high-speed railway, and they used some technology for doing the simulations and the testing with machine learning and artificial intelligence. And I explain a bit what happened, and there's some information on the website. So I recommend to have a look in that. I have also seen um, really myself, I've seen how this is not AI maybe, but I've seen how the president of France, Macron, has developed an application on his phone that he can trace all the public sector projects, and at any point he will be seeing, well, how is this bridge going or this construction. So using this smart technology for senior leaders to have an update on all the project, that is for me a big step change, because CEOs will never look at the tool that is complicated, the ones that we know as PPM, unless we make it very simple for them, like a phone. So that is super interesting, and I can also,
I
we
loved it.
could do the same in the meeting and share how this would look like in reality.
Antonio, you are an engineer, you are a manager, you are a project manager, but you are an educationist, you are a teacher, you are a trainer. This question really resonates with me, and I love your course on LinkedIn, and the one you just made it free. I also have LinkedIn Learning. Guys, do check it. I loved it. And for everyone, at the end of the podcast, I will share it again, and I will put the link of Antonio article. Do read it. Do read it. You are gonna love it. Hamid, he's basically dealing in the education department, and his question is very relevant with the chat GPT and all the institutes going against it, because now the essay is out of the question. You give the
Yeah.
assignment, you write it, you can write the essay. Like I am using chat GPT on daily basis to make multiple things. So what do you think in the future how AI can help us, and how with the education we can align it?
Great question, Hami. And yeah, it's been a big disruption, a tsunami when ChatGPT started like a few months ago, and especially on education. And I think my view is, I think my role as an educator, I started to teach in HALT Business School in Dubai. and I love that. It's a
Ah,
great school, and I know education is super important in the region. Um, but what I did is I asked the students to work on a paper to think about projects in the meta world or projects using artificial intelligence, using some of the tools like chatgpt to get more insights, to look at problems in this new universe. So I think our role is to make them aware of the opportunities and how to use them to drive projects more successfully. So I've embraced it very quickly. I think I'm not sure I'm the expert to teach these topics, but what I know is that I can help them to get more acquainted, connect AI with projects, the metaverse, and look, ask them to do a bit of research and use the tools that are coming up, because I know for sure this will be an asset for them when they go to the marketplace. Well, I know a bit how to use ChatGPT. I have looked in metaverse and I know how the projects will be carried out there. So you cannot block it, you cannot control it. So better embrace it and let the students work on it and start to get better and better understanding on it. So great question. And yeah, I think we just see in the beginning. Let's see how this evolves. I'm very, very excited.
thank you. Thank you, Antonio. Last question. We had 30 minutes. We are already 1 minute up. So
Yeah.
last question, and maybe we can do another one after next month, maybe, and then the AI is more evolved, or maybe after a few months. How do you see the future of human AI collaboration in project management evolving over the next decades?
Oof, that's a that's a big question. Yeah. I think we don't know yet. I think I don't have an answer, Amer. I know even today companies that are very advanced in the use of robots and so on, like Tesla or Amazon, they are still robots, and humans are very separated. There's no really teamwork or collaboration. So maybe this is true for operations, logistics, data, warehousing, managing, and so on. But for projects, that I would see AI as another member of the team. It's something that I don't know. These machines don't have feelings, but you know that we need to create trust between the projects if we want to create high performing team. Trust is one of the most important. So how can me as a project manager and my team trust the machine? Um, um, it's just I don't have an answer. I just like to think about the things, because can you trust this machine? Can you trust this computer that we're talking? And how can we build that kind of relation? I'm not saying you need to fall in love with the computer, but it's just having that connection to really get the best of everyone and deliver. So it's just very interesting topic. I love it. I don't have a clear view yet, and this will evolve for sure in the next years.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you for your time. It was very kind of you that you joined and you graced us with your presence and with so many beautiful questions. Looking forward to work with you in the future. Thank you, Antonio, and
Thank
best
you,
of luck.
Mer.
Thank you.
Bye bye. See